Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus Christ. Hello, Shaun.
Shaun.
I think the hard hat on, ready for tonight because of all the palaver that's going to happen.
Can I just say that all we needed was a couple of adverts and trailers at the start of that, and it'd be like the cinema where you can turn up half an hour later before it's even begun.
Do you know what? That was just the longest time of my entire life.
It was very good. Well done, Ken.
Well
done, Ken.
Can I just say that there's been a fair amount of complaining on the channel about us licking brushes, so we've made Shaun wear that.
Oh dear. So welcome everybody to Monday night's Plastic Crack Podcast, Series 2, Episode 350,435. We've got special guests tonight. We have Shaun, who's just knocked everything over by the look of it. Shaun from Metal Mercenary is here. We'll say, hi, Shaun. How you doing, mate? Good to see you.
Whoops.
Whoops. We got Steve from On Point HQ over there in the corner. We have Ken, brother Ken, down below, who's causing all kinds of mayhem again this morning or this evening. And we have Martin, seventh son, below me. And he doesn't love Gallagher. He doesn't.
Can we just explain this? That Ken was trying to throw shade at me, and he wrote Oasis fan underneath my name, and then I pointed out that it's Steve that has the problem with Oasis. I don't like Coldplay, and then he went away to fix it, and then he put Gallagher because he thought Gallagher was in Coldplay. So as you're not into music.
No, but isn't that a good thing? And I don't know which one he's in.
I don't know. This place is just going completely bananas. Can I borrow your helmet next time, please, Shaun? I think I need it against this.
Certainly.
Jesus. Right. So anyway, let's crack off for Monday night fun and games. Thanks to everybody who's joining us. We have Tim was in here at 4:30 this afternoon. For goodness' sake, Tim, get your life. Come on, mate. I mean, we appreciate people joining the podcast, but at 4:27 p.m. he logged on to say even me. Even early for me, lol. Yes, it bloody was. We got Lazy Pirate, got Aaron, Lionheart, Paul's Paint Shed, Evil Stew, Louis Baby, Jason, Jim, Evil Jim Reaper. We got SJMT66, Kitchen Wargamer, Leslie's here. We got Shring7, Louis Baby. He's probably painting Prussian landwear or something. We got Cat Roger 70, Enemy in Sight, Bill Roy, Crossing Obstacles, our friends of General Haig, David Barker, Rich John. Have I said anybody else? Here we go. East Norfolks. Hello, that's a new name. Hello, evening. Ham and Jam. Drew is here. Culloden's here. Welcome, Rory. Jim is here. Joshua, Luke, Imaginary Conflicts, Roger, Company, Gary Phillips. Oh my God, it's getting longer, this list. Rogue Trooper, Battle Knights, Alid, Tim's back again at a sensible time. Good. Steve Harbour, Imaginary Conflict, blah, blah, blah. Who else we got here? I think that's probably about it. Ricky, is here. And it's just jumped all the way to the end. Shakers and Sprues is here. Ben saying hello from Tennessee in the US. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
And we've got John Crome. Oh, and Rich M has just popped in for the last one. Right. Good grief. It gets longer and longer, the intro, and they're saying hello to people, even as long as Ken's bloody intros that he's created for us. Anyway, so tonight we have a guest, as you see. We have Shaun from Metal Mercenaries, a long-time member of the hobbying community. I hope you don't mind me saying that, Shaun. We'll get into how long you've been around in it. But he's been sending us aid parcels for a few weeks, and we thought we better get him on just to sort of get our own back on him. Really, was the whole idea. So we're going to have a chat with Jim about We're going to have a chat with Shaun about his hobbying experience, where we started out, and give us a little bit of an insight into how he got into it all. But we also want to say thank you to everybody watching this on replay. Thanks to everyone watching it live, but also those watching on replay. Thank you very much indeed, as ever. And obviously, remembering this is sponsored by Jim from repogames.co.uk. And as ever, not only we get the wonderful discount he gives everybody on these the Perrys, the Mantic, and the Warlord stuff, around about 20%. You also get an additional 10% with the code. It will be coming up later on, which will be absolutely no surprise to anybody what that one is, but it's coming. Anyway, thank you so much for everyone for watching. So let's have a look at what everyone's been working on. Ken, what have you been working on, mate?
Nothing.
Apart from the intro. Absolutely nothing.
No.
Probably exercising people or something. What about you, Steve? What about you, mate?
I finished one thing. I have never spent so long working on a transport piece as this. I don't know what happened. I spent longer working on this than that Hellcat and the Greyhound combined. So that's my unit, my first Bren carrier.
Wow.
I worked on that for 4 nights.
Jesus.
And it wasn't the nicest model to build, but actually painting it was just really nice. I really went to town. I was doing the armor, the weathering, everything was just. I just did a lot on it, and then putting those sandbags on was terrifying. Because I painted this really nice green. I thought, what, it looks a bit bare. So I went digging through it on the 8th Army sprue. You get a crap load of sandbags.
Yeah.
So I was looking at some reference photographs, and it was very wise to put sandbags on your universal carrier. A lot of them were festooned in them. So I put on some sandbags and then some rucksacks, and yeah, that was the only thing I did last week. I worked on it on bank holiday, and I think I finished it Wednesday night. I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know. I've got 5 more of them to paint as well.
It's going to take you forever, this project.
It's going to take me ages. But no, it was nice because I used a lot of weathering. So I was using mud, I was using dry brush, and I was using weathering pigments, which I managed to get in my eye, which I don't recommend because it bloody hurts. I put a really crap joke on Twitter about it because when it happened, I was listening to Black Sabbath. And I made reference to me getting it in my eye, and I was like, war pigments. Okay, hands up who got that joke. Martin. Tom as well. But yeah, very, very, very quiet week, and I spent the weekend playing video game golf. So moving on to someone else. We talked about this before we came on. Steve mentioned he was playing video golf, and I couldn't actually think of anything least likely I would see Steve playing. But there you go. What can we say? What about you, Martin? What have you been up to? Anything exciting?
Yeah, but I can't share photos of it. That sounds
not another top secret project that everyone's.
Well, sort of. I got all the stuff arrived for my next project, and I unfortunately did that thing where I opened the box to have a look at them. And I thought, I'll assemble one of these, and then I painted it, and then I did another one, and another one, and then about 10, and then I forcibly had to stop myself because I want to finish my ECW stuff. So all of that stuff's ready to go and primed, but I was just playing with the new toys. But I did finish AMR. From it's not Zulu.
No,
it's not Zulu. So I've got 2 new projects that are starting. 3 different armies between these 2 projects. Anglo Zulus is one of them. But all that stuff has more or less arrived. Stop it now. Stop it now. But what I did is I finished AMR that I was working on.
Yeah, nice, dude.
That's really nice.
Which is an awesome kit and an awesome model. So I finished him off. That was loads of fun, actually. And also you get the flip version of him as well. Although I can't really, I'm never going to be wanting to dismount him. It's going to, it'll only be if he gets knocked off the horse. But I actually, that mounted figure, I loved painting that. I really, really did. I thought I just, everything about it just went together really, really well. So that was a pleasure to do. But I did, I've realised I've kind of got the whole Rohan, like the whole royal family now of Rohan. I need to get someone. So I'm going to paint up that one you gave me, Ken, once I find him. Is it Gambling? I'm going to paint him up. And then I think I might actually have enough. I've done so many. I think I've got about 36 separate riders of Rohan just mounted. So I need to do a few foot ones. But yeah, it was just a nice change. But I did, here you go. I did some experimentation for my bases. So here you go. Here's a little clue. That's the basing scheme for the new project. It's not Zulus.
It does look like it could be Zulu, that doesn't it?
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said. I could see
it's
that with a couple of mealy bags on it.
Drew complaining.
Yeah, so,
he says, "How can we blame Martin if we can't see his models?" It's
There
true.
you go. It's Frodo with the one ring on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Frodo with one ring on in the desert. No, it's I want to have some models ready to go. Then you can blame me. That's the plan. So yeah, that's what I've got. So other than that, I was working on a few other bits and bobs just to do us, but and then editing still that massive video that went out the other day. So
It was a fair size.
Was it from IKEA? Road Trooper wants to know.
What, my project? No,
a special project.
Yes. That's why the instructions were all wrong. That's why it's taken so. No, that was my week. So really, I only painted 2 things. That was a really long-winded way of me dragging that out. Blimey. Well, I mean, it does look. I did like the Rider Rohan. That looked really cool, really interesting indeed. So, Shaunus, what you sent me some pictures. So let's have a look at some of these that you've been working on because you're a busy old bee. You produce a hell of a lot of. I get a bad press for painting lots and lots of figures, but you do too. So what are you working on here?
Well, what this was I've been in eBay recently just looking for things you can get hold of cheaply and do them up. And you know, I've got a small Mexican American war collection for sharp practice.
Yeah.
And I saw there was a collection of 87 American infantry that was on sale for £75. And they were sort of block painted, as I would call it, like those chaps at the back. So can you see the chaps at the back there? That's how they came, all 87 of them. And the 6 at the front were half an hour's working on them just to see what they would look like finished off.
Wow. There you go. It does show you can pick up some stuff off eBay and actually just a little bit tarting up. It really does make a big difference.
I did the same sort of thing recently with some Romans that I found cheap, and then I added them to me. No, well, one set, and there was 8 of them that came from the Roman set, and so I did the 8, and then decided that it was fantastic because there were the Coppleston figures that were sold by Foundry many moons ago. That Coppleston did for Caesar's Rome. So I had 8 of them. So I touched them up and put the shields on. And I have already got a collection of the figures. So I got a few out to see how they'd look with them. And then before I knew it, I'd done 2 lots of 8 at the back. And then the other 8 at the front. These are my Pompey's troops. My Caesar's troops are going to be Old Glory. But they're the 3 sets I ended up doing.
Sweet. They look good.
And these were, you know, you guys all know that I went to the Bosworth battlefield and they sat with the lads and they re-fought Bosworth a couple of times just to make sure that the Welshmen didn't win for a change. And then, John, my friend, I was at his house and I was hoping to pick up what was his West Indies collection to bring back to do some pictures on, see if we needed updating them and things. And what John did have was right at the back of his cabinet about 30 years ago, we did a little bit of what we called the Clive and India range. And a lot of the French and British troops had already been sold. They were all first call ones, but John still had a lot of the the French sepoys and British sepoys, and they were in the sort of state like you can see the guys at the back there. So I brought them all home because I wanted to turn them into sharp practice for him to go with some British and French he's got. So the 9 with the officer at the front were originally like the guys at the back. I got them off the bases, highlighted them and touched them up, and I'm turning them into sharp practice. There's about another 40 or 50, maybe even 60 figures to do to go like that. That was just the start of that.
Awesome. And then if you weren't to be outdone, there was even more.
Well, yeah, these are, as you know, I do commissions, and these are part of a two commissions. There's 300 Union troops. This is just one batch of them. I do them in batches of 48. I just work through one figure at a time, adding in the colours, doing the things, and that's just one of the batches that I was working on this week. So I thought I better put it in, considering it's supposed to be what we've worked on this week.
Awesome. I'm so pleased to see somebody else gets a sensible amount of figures done each week. That's all I can say. It's bloody quality. That's all I can say. And actually put me to shame this week. I haven't done anywhere near that number. I put this up on the Facebook page, but today, this week, I spent ages on these 6 Romans, and I spent a long time with them, much more than I would ever do. I probably would have painted entire Legion in the time it took me to those 6, and I'm still not really sure they're quite worth it, but they look all right. But there are all sorts of washes and stuff I put in them, and yeah, just I don't know. But now I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I carry on with this process, which will take me forever to do, or do I go back to my normal slap it on and hope? But I don't know. They do look nice. I'm pleased with them, but they did take me a long time to do. But anyway, that was one of the things I got underway this week, and then I went back to some more Napoleonics. So I've got a game this week. We're doing a Black Powder 1812 game, and we realised we didn't have enough Russians, so I painted up this unit of Grenadiers, and I'll try and do another unit of infantry before Friday.
Just paint a battalion. Just paint them up.
Just painted up those. Well, they're in great coats, so they're easy. You just slap it all on, don't you? Easy peasy. They're good. I was quite pleased with those. They came out. They're front ranks, and they're always good. They're always good figures to paint up. And then, just in honour of our guest, I did them. I did them last night because I thought I had to do them. Oh, jeez.
I've got those. Says Hayley's going to the 2 you gave me. Sure, Hayley is going to paint us. She's dyeing her hair at the minute, but she promised that she's going to paint. I just got given a look. But so
you're in trouble.
But she's going to.
There's a bit of an add-on story with those now as well, the teddy bears, because there's 2 more. Do you all know that there's 2 more as well? There's the ancient teddy bears as well to come.
Oh no,
there's a Roman. There's a Roman teddy bear and a Gallic and a Gaul teddy bear as well that goes with those. I said that to you, Ken, didn't I? I'll send you the other 2. But my wife, she's got a set of them in the lounge. And when it was mentioned that you were all painting yours up, because originally when we sold them, they've been lacquered. All those teddy bears I sent to you, they've had a black wash. They were polished and with a wire brush, then a black wash, then polished again to give them a polish. And that's the way we used to sell them. So my wife's got them like that in the house. Now I've got to paint them because you lot are all painting yours. Why aren't mine painted?
So that seems a perfect opportunity, first sort of occasion to talk about your background, Shaun, and a little bit about how why the hell did you send us teddy bears for a start? So I don't know, where do we want to start? Tell us, because you used to run First Corps, didn't you?
Yeah, it was back in I was like everybody else back in the 90s. I was in the Navy up till 1991, just after the end of the Gulf War, and I was just like everybody else. I did 1/35th scale things. I painted them. I collected plastic soldiers, painted those. I can remember being in one of the bases, the cabin that I had in the base. On top of my wardrobe, there was a battlefield, but no one ever saw it when they came in the room because it was all on top of the wardrobe. And when I was away at sea, I used to get your little picnic box out and start getting paints out, and the lads would come in who were in the cabin and sit there and go, "What are you doing with toy soldiers?" This was at the beginning of the trip. Within 2 or 3 weeks into it, the whole cabin was full of people sat on the floor painting toy soldiers.
Love it.
So
Love it.
yeah, and then I was just buying. I learned about. I got my first miniature war games, and I sort of started noticing that there was metal figures out there that you could buy. And I can remember being at Faz Lane at the nuclear submarine base, and I used to have to go out in the transport and deliver signals to all the outstations. And there was a big shop in Glasgow called, I think it was Two Dragons, it was called, and it was a war game shop. And this was like, about 86, 80, 85, 86. And we went out, the driver, and there's me with a briefcase handcuffed to my hand, traveling around Glasgow in this van, delivering all these secret messages to all the places. And then me and the driver parking the van up in the middle of Glasgow and walking into the shop with my hand still with the briefcase fastened to it, and ordering £25 worth of minifigs from the chapters I've never seen before. Unfortunately, the driver that was with me was called Hamish, and he was a bit of a character. And the guy said it was £25. And Hamish, in his Scottish accent, decided to haggle with him because of telling him I'd come all the way from the submarine base just to buy the soldiers at his shop, and I should at least get a discount. And I ended up getting them for 20. So I was really happy on that day.
Ken,
say
that sounds like something Ken would partake in.
Oh, any kind of
I always
bartering.
haggle.
Then I was just sat at home where I live, and I was buying connoisseur figures by that time and painting them up and things. And then my wife came home from work one day, and she was worked at the bank in a little place called Withensea on the coast near Hull. And it just so happened that in her hand that night when she came home, she showed me these American Civil War figures. And I'd never seen anything like them. They were absolutely fantastic. And I said, "Where have you got those?" I was about to just order £100 worth of stuff from Connoisseur. And she said, "Oh, there's a chap set up a new company, and he lives just up the road, and he banks with us. And these are some of his first figures." And that was Rob Baker, who did First Corps.
Right.
And I went round to his house. I used to watch him cast and help him cast. I would buy masses of stuff off him right at the beginning. And it developed from that. The two of us then... he got me to sell all the other stuff I'd painted. We went to shows. We used to go to the trade shows with him and his 6-foot little stand at all the shows. I could tell you some stories about stands, but anyway. And then and then we went in together, and yeah, I became part of First Corps. We developed First Corps, and I think it was in about 2001 we sold it on. It was either a case of develop it or move it on to someone else who could do something else with it, and it was getting too much as we were doing it together. I was working for social services at the same time, so it was really hard work, and we moved it on. And unfortunately, because I was in the trade, I made contact with a lot of great names of the hobby at the time. Knew Bill Gaskin really well, Duncan McFarlane, Dave Thomas, who sells all the berry stuff at the shows, the medals. Lots of the trade, Barry Hilton. Some great names in the hobby. If I was to sit here, we'd be here all night and I'd just be naming them. But yeah, I get on great with them. They all still owe me a BA, but I mean, I'll leave them that. That's okay, And to be fair, I still painted all the way through. Started off metal mercs in the 90s before I went in with Rob. And then I got poorly. I worked social services for 22 years. And as you guys know, I have my dicky eye, so... which is flickering now, so I want a few R's in there. And when I had to leave work after my 22 years through ill health, I thought, well, I might as well go back to what I did before. I'll go back to painting and do commission work, and everything was already set up to do it. So that's exactly what I did, and I've been going since. But I have to say, being on here with you guys is fantastic, but it was great when I first found you. I just found you by mistake. I found Von Ketteringham first and thought, what a character. I really like this guy. Started to look at who he was following. And like I said to some of the guys I've met up with, and Martin, I was talking with Martin, breath of fresh air to someone like me, guys, because I think I got dragged down a little bit of a stale steps in the hobby. I was being pulled in one direction all the time. I was doing big games with my friend, and it was always about he wanted to go to big shows and win at the big shows and stuff. And I sort of lost the real footprint of the hobby. And then I started watching all you guys and thought, no, there's still the crazies out there just like me. Wake up, Ken. I'm stopping in a minute.
He's gone, isn't he? Look, he's gone. Oh my God, he has gone to sleep.
Is he frozen or is he actually? He
must be frozen. Is he dead?
That must be frozen.
Right.
Did he have a long shift last night?
Oh, geez. That is, someone get a screenshot of that.
Oh, he's there.
Oh my lordy.
Was it bad?
I'm stopping talking. That's me now. That's me. I'm going. Ta-ra, Ken. Ken board now. Ken board now. Ken board now.
What was the other there? Did I miss
Your screen either froze or you had a stroke. I don't know.
Oh no! Yeah, I froze. My internet keeps dropping.
Oh bloody hell!
Oh, you should work for an internet company.
That was bad.
Yeah, tell the story again, please. No, so I mean that's fascinating. So you really have been around in the hobby pretty much from day one as it became a proper hobby. I mean, obviously it's been around for a lot longer than that, but I mean, you must have seen a hell of a lot of changes in it. Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, do you look at what's going on now with excitement or horror or a bit of both?
No, I think it's excitement, really. I think I quite like the way the hobby's going, in the direction it's going in. I know there's lots and lots of changes because when I first came into the hobby properly, wargaming. You see, my thing is I'm not really a wargamer per se. I'm more of a painter. I love to paint miniature figurines of any type. I got right into 28 mils and I've stuck really with them. But I have painted all sorts, bigger, smaller. I know all the techniques. I know how to do stuff, but I just love painting 28s, and I sort of stuck with that. But watching the hobby recently, I sort of found that it's these kind of things that are making the hobby fresh and new again to people. They're bringing it back to where I think it was a long time ago, because I do think it's stagnated. People got stuck in things, and the figure manufacturers and things like that. That at one point we all thought that like unless we get something new, are we all sticking with maybe 2 or 3? But now there's just masses to choose from, and people are making them in all different mediums as well, which is great. And I have to say, plastics in the hobby has just been a revelation. I think absolute revelation. Can I just ask Steve? Can I just ask you? You know, if you move your head a little bit, you know, on your back wall. I've noticed this over the last few weeks. There's a Chinese thing up on the back wall. Is that Chinese for I love plastic?
I hope so. No, I've got no idea. They're here when I'm working. Sort of complimentary bedroom art. I'm going to find out. It's probably a menu or something. I'm not quite sure. But I don't know. Yeah. Am I what?
I thought it was one of the freebies you get if you buy over 10 grand's worth of all action stuff. I think.
No, I'll have to have a word. Mr. Stallard, see if he can throw in a couple of complimentary framed pictures.
Am I allowed to yellow card our sponsor? Am I allowed to do that? Can I yellow card? Can I yellow card you? Good. Take that.
Yeah,
you cheeky shit. Thank you.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's someone. Louis asked, "Do you think it's a golden era for figures at the moment?" Shaun, I guess.
I think the marketplace at the moment is fantastic. I think it is a golden era, and I think the more plastics that come on the market for people in all different ways, I can only be a good thing for the hobby. Yeah, really. I do remember when plastics first came along. A lot of the people at the top of the hobby or saw themselves as the top of the hobby said plastics won't take on. Nobody will ever pay any money for someone to paint plastics for them. They're they want to come and sit around my house every now and again and come and have a look what's in this workshop, because customers have sent an awful lot of plastics for me to paint. Believe me.
So, what in that regard, then, what would you say was the pushback, like historically, from predominantly metal and miniatures, and then all of a sudden plastic gets introduced? What would you say was the pushback from sort of the old guard?
I just don't think they like the idea that there was a big change, and I still think a lot of them now it's metals or nothing, I personally don't understand that. But then again, like I said, my background came from building 1/35th Tamiya things as well. I like the idea of putting things together and then taking 2 or 3 different boxes from different companies and swapping and changing them around, putting some heads from one on, figures from another, and then having a whole unit of 30 figures where every single one might be slightly different. I just think it's fantastic.
So who was really the first company to sort of do a mass-produced plastic sets? Who really kind of was the first company to really go ahead and do some historicals?
I think the Perrys. Well, the Perrys, everybody always hits with the Perrys, hitting with the plastic, but I do believe that it was Gripping Beast that brought the first box set out just a little bit before the Perrys did, when they brought out some of their first Vikings. Sorry, Ken.
Okay.
No, that's right. That's right. I've just got to say, I've got to go. So there's a thing up there for all 4 of you. So sorry I cannot stick about, but it's there. But yes, because I'm on call and so I will see you guys. I shall see you guys later.
There we go.
Ken, don't you fall asleep in the car, Ken?
I'll try not to. Take it easy.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, Ken.
See you, brother.
Oh dear. Thank God we got rid of him.
Steve.
Yeah, cod pieces all the way.
Cod pieces all the way. Yeah.
Oh, we're back to I Blame Martin. Okay.
You know what you asked as well, Martin, when you asked about the plastic figures?
Yeah.
Many moons ago, back in the early 90s, I live in Hull, as you guys know, and it's for a long time it was the home of Airfix Humbrol, massive factory.
Yeah.
And they were only about a mile up the road from where I live. If you come out of Hull to my house, you go past the actual factory unit that was. And in Wargames Illustrated, somebody had put an advert in and put my name next to the figures that were on it. Duncan used to do it quite a lot, that I'd painted. And I got a phone call from them. And they asked me if I would go in and talk to them about paint pigments in the Humbrol enamel paints that most of us used to use back then, before acrylics were good enough for us to use. Do you remember that, Dom?
I do, mate. Yeah, I do.
Even I remember Humbrol paints.
Yeah. Well, when I went in, they were trying to adapt a way of making their plastics more open to the market. And they even tried to make some kinds of lacquer that you could put onto the soft plastic figures, as we all know, the Airfix figures, that would make them harder so that we could use them by painting them. Because obviously when you painted them, the paint flaked.
Yes.
All I could see was that what happened was the paint didn't flake. You put this lacquer on after you'd painted them. The paint still cracked. It just didn't come off because the lacquer kept it on.
It just sort of flaked inside it.
Didn't fall off. You just looked like the whole thing had cracked into little pieces and was still stood together. So, but no, they'd also spent £5 million, I think it was, adapting their paints to take out the pigment that was in it, because some model makers had told them there was too much pigment in the bottom of the paint, and the pigment needed to be thinner. And I said to them, no, but if any wargamer will tell you that's where they get their paint from. They stare it like you tell them to, but then they scoop the pigment out the bottom, and they paint the pigment, and they just spent £5 million taking the pigment out of the tin.
Love it. It was weird. I guess that was probably a lot of the sniffiness, because funny you mentioned that. I'd forgotten that, but I do remember the that sort of sniffiness there was around plastics, and how can anyone use plastics? Because I mean they were fairly basic, but I guess the difference was that we all grew up with Airfix plastics, and while they were an introduction, an entry level for many, many people into the hobby, as you said, they were pretty rubbish to paint. You just couldn't paint them, really. Or if you could, they'd flake off within 5 minutes of painting them. So I guess that was where that sniffiness came from.
Yeah, and the big problem with plastics always was that they cracked and the plastic came off. Your bayonets and your rifles, you could have a lovely painted figure and you've got your plain plastic rifle after about 2 minutes. All the paint would come off. But it was as soon as the hard plastic and I mean, when we're talking about in our hobby, we're talking historicals. I mean, what I did miss was Games Workshop. It was Games Workshop that started to produce the hard plastic figures that the market that proved its point in the marketplace. And it's that hard plastic that we were all looking for. And as soon as someone developed the hard plastic, you know, the gates were open as long as you had the backing and the capital to be able to produce it, because it is expensive setting those up. Apparently, once they're set up, the setup's there, it's not as expensive to produce, but it's that original setup, I think.
Yeah, I remember Perry saying something similar. It's the setup costs, or was it guy from Offensive? I can't remember. One of the guests we had talked about that. Said it was.
I think it was the Perrys, because people were asking about. I think it was when people asked about ECW, and they said, you know, they thought about it, but they didn't do it because the Wargames factory now, Wall of Games one's there, but the cost of setting it up, they didn't know if that outweighed how, you know, its use, you know, how much they would actually sort of make back out of it. I know that in the chat that everyone wants a Perry ECW plastic set, but I think, I don't know. They just didn't. I don't know. They just didn't seem to feel that one, did they?
No, I think it's because. Sorry.
No, carry on, mate.
Tom. I was just thinking because they've done it so substantially in metal, hadn't they?
Yeah.
The guys that I think they've sort of done it to death, and they're a unique couple, those two guys, because they have an idea on something and they just run with it until it what they deem to be complete, and then they move on to the next thing. They were unique. Well, I used to think back in the day when I knew a lot of designers as well, there weren't many designers like them who were so prolific. The biggest problem people used to say back in the day was designers of companies that would start ranges and never complete them. I don't know if you remember back in those days, Dom. You used to have to beg and beg for them. Are you going to finish this? And are you going to finish that? And are you going to do some of these?
Oh, that was the most infuriating thing. You started a project and then you just sort of like it would just stop. It's like, and of course there weren't so many manufacturers, so you know if they stopped doing it, there was nowhere else. It wasn't like now you could go and talk to another half a dozen other companies and get the same figures. That was it.
Back at the beginning, when Peter Gilder first set up at Connoisseur, having been with Inchcliffe for so long, he was the classic for he did your marching or advancing charging pose. He did your officers. He did one. You got. If you were lucky if you got a drummer and standard bearers, because he wasn't going to sell many of them. He wanted to sell the main rank and file, so that's the stuff that got produced, and that's what you got. And if you wanted fancy drummers and standard bearers, you converted them yourself.
I was going to say that probably keeps Steve very happy if there were no drummers in it.
I was just thinking. Imagine if a company did that these days, with the the social media. If a company just said, right, we're doing this range, but we're going to do not too many of those. We're definitely not doing any of those. There'd be outcry. There'd be people slating them left, right, and centre all over the internet.
Well, isn't that what Games Factory or whatever Foundry are doing? Isn't it now? They're just doing rank and file troops, no headquarters, because they reckon everyone else does them pretty well. I don't know.
I mean, do you think these companies know that? I mean, there are loads of companies out there, and we as nerdy wargamers, if we want figures, we get figures. We find some way of finding a company that sell the figures that we want. So, do you think they operate knowing that people pick and choose? And if one company does rank and file, they're going to go to another company for the command, another company for the cavalry, artillery, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, we First Corps, we did exactly the same thing back in the 90s. I mean,
sorry, I just saw that.
Classic Miller. I don't know what the opposite of a red card is, but that is the absolute
gold star. It's gold star.
That is the gold star.
Or we just need to get some like plastic crack mugs and just send them out. That's
absolutely priceless. Well done. Absolutely priceless. Sorry, Shaun.
No, that's okay. Yeah, Steve, what we did was our first range when me and Rob got together, we were going to start on Ancients. We were going to do Ancients. We had some Greeks ready to release. And we also had some Napoleonics, British. But just previous to that, Foundry had brought out their sort of second range of Napoleonics, French. And it was masses of French in all different marching poses, all different marching in all different styles. There was the Voltigeurs, there was the Grenadiers. So what we did was we matched their size. And while they were spending all their time bringing out French, we brought out British in firing line in exactly the same size. So we found ourselves selling loads and loads of British because Foundry were taking ages getting theirs out. And what we also did was we started making all our Ancients exactly the same size as all their Ancients. So if you wanted a cheaper version, here we were.
That's a good way of doing it. I like that.
The thing is, I don't know whether it's just me, but I won't mix miniatures.
Really?
No, not. I mean,
you'll mix the same ones from multiple.
Oh no,
your own ones.
Yeah,
but
but
you won't mix the manufacturer. How
I won't have like a bolt action army with 90% warlord and other miniatures manufacturers.
So you wouldn't like slip in like your Landsknecks. You wouldn't like slip in like, I don't know, like a Steel Fist miniature.
See, that I was tempted by that, but the Landsknecks are sort of on hiatus at the moment. But my main stuff with bolt action, I don't know. It may change when I come to do the. I need to add some LRDG Jeeps and trucks to my SAS. And there's a number of different manufacturers I could go with there. So Warlord do them. Offensive miniatures. Their LRDG stuff is lovely, but it's metal and huge whacking great chunks of metal. Warlord do them, but they're made to cast, so you may have to wait weeks. Or I could go down the 3D printed route or Rubicon.
That's something I was not aware that you so you don't like odd numbers or mixing manufacturers.
No,
but he likes golf. We found out some really weird shit from Steve tonight, haven't we? Jesus.
No, really, I know. I've got a question for Shaun. It's not like a horrible question. Is there any sort of range of figures that you, because you've seen quite a lot in the hobby, is there anything that you were surprised that no one has done yet? That, you know, because I was saying to Dom the other day, I'm still waiting. I know Carl's got those the Ottomans, but I'm still surprised that there's no plastic Ottoman for the later period, for the sort of 1600 up to Napoleonic Wars. I'm surprised there's no. Is there anything you are surprised that nobody's attempted yet?
God, well, I think
saturated.
You mean in plastic?
Or metal? Is there any range that you think that someone hasn't had to go, or plastics? I guess.
I think if you look around, I think you can find that the figures out there. It's just whether you know where to look. I mean, Trev Dixon did a range of Ottomans for his Napoleonics in Egypt, which not many people know about. But there is quite a nice little range of the figures there for that. Janissaries, Turks, that kind of stuff. But if they're not big sellers at the moment, people forget that they're there. I think All Glory have a large range of Ottomans. It's just something that I think it's a niche thing in the period, isn't it? That people you either want it or you don't. There are mass ranges where everybody seems to have dipped the toe in, like your American Civil War and your World War II and your Napoleonics and that. But when it comes to smaller ones, I often tried to turn Rob on to the Wars of Italian Unification, because I love the idea of Garibaldi and the red shirts and things like that, which I don't think I've ever seen in a range of figures. And I think if some of the top companies did them, it would be a lovely range of figures, because there's a lot of figures you can use. The Neapolitans and Italians and the Austrians are all out there. But yeah, I think if you look through history, sometimes I've spent time before looking through books and thinking, I wonder when someone's going to do some of them. But they do tend to come along eventually, don't they? But have you not noticed that more recently, games have become more fun and skirmish-ified, if that's the word. So the big, massive games that people used to put on in the past, I think are sort of like, unless you're in part of a big club, are few and far between there now. And I think I was lucky in that sense that back in the day when I first started, I would go to some of the big shows and there would just be massive games on display with 10, 15 people standing around these. I mean, I was friends with a lot of good clubs back in the day. You know, the ones that would turn up, the game was all set up the night before, and then they'd all go out and get drunk that night. They all turn up at 10:30, empty tins of Coke all the way around the table, most of them asleep. No real gaming getting done.
I know. I remember all those. That's brilliant. Yeah. No, Bill. He isn't Doctor Who. Ken disappearing is like he's regenerated. Yeah, no, he hasn't. No, and no, I'm. This is beer, right? This is called water, not wine. It's beer. Yeah, and I'm not sticking up. I'm stocking up on cork. I do need to get some cork, but it's not. That had a beer top. Sorry. Yeah, brilliant. I'm just looking through some of the chats here. So, I mean, you're right though, Shaun. I mean, it's funny. There was I think it was Little Wars did a video a little while about where the historical gaming was dying, and. You know, I was incredulous about it because I think, you know, I don't go quite as far back as you, if you don't mind me saying, but I don't nearly as far back as you. And I think the hobby is amazing at the moment. I mean, literally everything you can think of is out there somewhere. Somebody's producing some sort of range of figures. It's just the most extraordinary time to be a hobbyist. But I do think, like you say, it's largely down to the almost like the barrier for entry for the customer is really good because you don't have those massive battles anymore, so you can pick up 50 figures and play a game. This medium that you're on now as well, the internet has made such massive difference. We came in right at the end of our first core life to the internet and started with a website, and it was only a few years before we finished. So, but I was fortunate to have somebody who built the website for me, and I took it on from there. But everything has become so much cheaper. It's cheaper to advertise in colour in the magazines now. It's cheaper to get your figures out there onto the market and sell them. Yeah. We had to go around maybe 40 shows a year to show off our product. That's expensive. Now you can just go online and put up all your lovely painted figures on your website or your blog or whatever, and people can see what it is they want to buy. And so it's not costing you hundreds and hundreds of pounds every month to get to a show and show at the show. And the lesser companies, some of us, you were just getting by month after month. You just wanted to get your soldiers out there on the market. Yeah. Well, I remember I mentioned it before on the stream, and everyone looked horrified at me. But with the old days when you write to manufacturers like Your Good Sales and say, "Can you please send me your army lists or your list of all your range?" And you'd have to send a stamped addressed envelope for them to send it back. And if you were really lucky, they might send you a sample figure. And so you effectively paid to get a printout, and they were Xerox printed crap. They were absolutely terrible usually. Usually it took about 10 seconds to print one page out, and you had 10 pages in your catalogue. Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, oh, God. And that was how it works. But you know what? We used to sit, it was the same with the magazines. You get your miniature war games magazine, and I'd sit and go, underline or tick things in the lists of all these figures. You didn't see what they looked like. It was just the names. And it was just like, wow, I really need those in my life. It's like, Friends of General Haig remembers self-addressed envelope postal order. Yeah, 28 days. And 28 days to deliver. We needed that as well. We needed the 28 days for orders because it took us an age in a little garage casting all the figures. Brilliant. I mean, it's just a nightmare. I don't know. They don't know how lucky they are today. Blimey. I have to say as well, guys. Sorry, Steve.
Oh, no, go on, carry on.
No, I was just saying that I know you guys love your GMB flags as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You guys, the GMB flags. And I have to say, I have to put my hand up and wave to Graham if he ever watches, because I can remember Graham coming round the shows in the mid-1990s and showing us these beautiful flags at all the stands of the traders and saying, does anyone like to take these on and sell these? Because I'm going to start producing them. And he came to our stand and I said, they look fantastic, mate. Yep, that sounds like a fantastic idea. And I had a big backboard made, and he first had French and British Napoleonic flags. That's all he had, so many regiments. And we started taking him around the shows, and we got him to make one of those spinning stands like you're in the shops, where we put all the flags in instead of the cards. And we used to have that stood at the end of our stand, and he just grew and grew and grew from that. So if he's watching, Graham, I'm still here, mate. I'm still alive.
I love. I just realised, is that what GMB stands for? Is it Graham?
It's his initials, GMB, Graham Black. I can't
There we
remember
go.
what the middle name was, but it was something really weird.
I just realised when his email address. Yeah, there we go. I still want him to do some Wars of the Roses ones, because it hurt not going to GMB. It hurt. I don't know what to do. But that's fantastic.
Yeah, they did. You're right, Leslie. They did. So Hinchcliffe did some, and actually minifigs. Shring says the same. But Shring catalogs were pretty good as well. They were good. But then back in the day, you only really got minifigs and Hinchcliffe. That's all there were. That was the lot.
But do you remember when you got the catalogue, Dom? You didn't see what the figures looked like.
No, there was no pictures.
What it was.
No pictures at all. No pictures at all. But then if you went down to any club, or you went to when the magazine was featuring a battle report or something, they were all there because it was the only ranges you could get. So you kind of saw them. But yeah, it's true. Yeah, I remember that too. Trying to persuade my dad to give me a postal order or do a postal order. Just, bloody nightmare. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. Anyway, enough reminiscing. We'll lose all the youngsters. They won't be interested in this. So Should we do a bit of news before we move on a bit further? I know it's a bit early, but I just think it's a bit of a break on where we are. Let me find. Where's the video? Oh God, he's put all new videos in. I don't know where they are now. Here we go. I think is it this one? I think it's this one. No, it's not that one.
Not that one.
It's not that one. Must be this one. Slick as slick.
Pure class.
Pure class. So, any kind of news, Martin? You said there were a couple of things you'd seen.
Yeah, I had some news. So we've got a funny one to start, and I'm sure people have probably seen this. But has everyone seen this thing about Napoleon's hat?
Yeah.
His DNA.
Oh, that's so funny.
So apparently, this. Now I don't know if this is the hat itself. It's the one that was on the news article. So this is apparently Napoleon's bicon. And it actually had some hair in it that they've DNA tested against his descendants, and it's actually his. So all of the Wargames forums have been awash with this idea of cloning Napoleon. So now what I've got to do is find. I can't remember who was it. Was it you, John? Who said we can find Wellington's nasal hair?
I'll buy Wellington's nasal hairs, and you can buy that hat, and then we can have a real life battle off, can't we?
People sell Edward IV hair at Sotheby's all the time. Genuinely, there's lots of his hair that go because some grave robbers went in there. Well, not grave robbers, Victorians went in there and took it out. But yeah, so I just thought that was a bit of fun, and I can't remember what the asking price was, but it's money that I will never see. So someone's going to get that. But yeah, I thought that was a bit of fun. Next up, it's into. I guess it kind of comes into the news. Can I put it in the news? The t-shirts.
Yeah, go for news. Yeah.
So I'm going to borrow. So Matt, if you're watching, I've used you to model our CrackCon 2021 t-shirts, which are now available, and we've sold quite a few now, haven't we?
We have. There's probably about 10 or 12 now sold.
No, which is good. Which is 10 or 12 more than we thought would sell. So they're on there. So the link I'm sure Dom will be able to.
I'll put it in the thingy in a minute. Yes.
Or if you're in the Facebook group, you'll find it in the announcements where you can buy official CrackCon 2021 merchandise. But that is Ace. I thought that made my day when I saw that.
Do you know what? The feed on the Facebook page was awash with people showing off their t-shirts for a few days. It was kind of like, what have we started? What have we started?
I know. It's but the great thing is, I think a couple have been bought by people who aren't necessarily coming as well. So thank you very much. That is Ace. Another thing I saw, Victrix have released some renders of the command frame for the late Roman Visigoth things, which I think they look good. I think they do the job. I didn't really know there's a lot more to say about them, but I thought we shared the rest of them. But I mean, Victrix know what they're doing. So I say none of them are doing that weird leaning thing that the other ones were doing. So I don't know if they've done away with that now.
I always like with a Romany type figure, the sort of gladius being stabbed over the top of the shield. I think that just to me, that's the perfect pose for a sort of Roman legionary or legionary type character. I think just with that sort of stab over the top is how I imagine them sort of sticking into some hairy ass barbarian's face.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be an interesting. I'd like to see how many they're actually going to get in it. It'd be an interesting set because I got the Gripping Beast set, which I really, really liked. It was pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So I'd quite like to see what Victrix are going to do. And then, so this is something that I only just picked up today. And so when I saved this image, it has now been superseded by actual news. So Wargamer posted this up. Which have got everyone a bit suspect. So Wargamer produced By Fire and Sword, the 15mm 30 Years War game. And this little cartoon got everyone whispering. But then they subsequently released a video about half an hour before the stream went live saying there's going to be a second edition of By Fire and Sword. But they are completely overhauling the rules. They have said that it's 10 years old. They've seen how Wargaming is going and things have been more streamlined and for faster play, and not necessarily what they went for before was simulation of that warfare. And they understand that it's a changing market, so they're keeping the idea of mismatched forces. You haven't got to rebase any models. All the current ranges are, but the rules are it's not just going to be a second edition with some tweaks. It's going to be a completely changed system. It's completely different. And they said, obviously, the benefit of that is everyone who still wants to play the old system, they've still got all the old rules. They've still got all these source books. So that's going to be going to Kickstarter in November for delivery in May, because they're going to be producing the English rules at the same time as the Polish. But the first expansion, which will be out later in the year, will be the English Civil War. Now, they were bandying around the English Civil War for a while, but they said that once they decided to go to second edition, they didn't want to release a big supplement and then it be, not up to date. So they're releasing that later in the year. But there's a video in the group if you're in the Plastic Crack Podcast Facebook group, and if not, why not? Go enjoy it. And but there's a link in there where the creator's basically putting the video together, and he's been very, very open and he's answering all sorts of questions. You can go on there and he's going to put regular updates just about why they're doing it. And but they want their company, they're a smaller company and they know they've got to develop with the time. So I am both, because I really, really like that game. I really like it. So I'm pleased to see that they've that they are updating it, but I'm also nervous because I enjoyed the system. So I was
going to say it must take some balls to do that. I mean, you've got a perfectly working game system, from what you say, it's quite popular. And to sit down and overhaul the entire thing, that takes some sphericals to do that.
It does. Yeah. Although I'm quite pleased that I didn't actually buy the first edition now then.
But that's the thing. Like they said, it's almost going to be a completely separate game. I think this new one is going to be much faster play, more, and they're going to be probably for the skirmishes where those divisional games are going to be probably using the first edition, which was much more simulation. So it was. That was my news. I was quite. There's a few things that actually popped up.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, this week there just seemed to have been quite a few. I saw these figures, these renders of upcoming Claymore figures. There's this one and this set.
Yeah.
And Claymore stuff is just absolutely awesome. So I'm kind of interested by these, even though it's not really a period that I'm using, but they just look so damn good. I think, is that supposed to be with Philip? I can't remember. I think one was Philip and one was the Black Prince or something, but they look really interesting. Really, really good. We've got Steve Barber has released a couple of new things. So this is a Scottish World War One infantryman or sergeant, I think it's supposed to be.
Right.
Pointy, which is kind of talk about niche is kind of good, but looks interesting. And then these are which one? I'm now talking about niche. These are really niche. These are 1848 Austrian infantry.
I got tons of those. I got boxes of them.
There we go. A bit more mass market. We've got Russian Napoleonics.
I've just sorry.
And then Lucas. Sorry, carry on.
Drew's made me laugh about those Claymore.
Look a bit like that. Yeah, they are renders, Drew. They are renders. But yeah they do. They're getting there. They will be fantastic, though. Claymore stuff is superb. These looters look kind of cool. Well, I say looter with a dead Frenchman, I presume, which is always a good thing.
But he's dead looter. There we go.
Could be a dead looter. Yeah, true. So they're kind of interesting. What else did I see? I got this one. Well, somebody posted this one on Facebook page, and I picked it up because it was really just to find out whether Ken had any idea what this was about. But since he's not here, it's pointless, really.
I think we've established that Ken does not.
Ken would have absolutely no idea, so we'll just brush over that one and go to Kickstarter for if anyone's looking for some sable brushes. This has gone live on Kickstarter, and it's actually pretty reasonable if you're interested in it. Not that I backed it, of course, but you can get some really interesting, really good brushes. Warlords have come out with a whole load of new stuff, which is always good. So their October supply dump is Russian stuff. So if you're after Russian stuff, 50 quid will get you the usual sort of collection. There's usually an army infantry box, isn't there? Some sort of vehicle, support weapon, and a book of some sort for 50 quid, which I think is actually not bad value if you're looking to buy into that sort of period. I certainly prefer the fact they're doing, individual subjects with those things.
I just wish. I know. I wish most weeks what Warlord would release. Updated plastic Russians would be rather nice at this point, because the other ones are older than God's dog, and they got those separate arms and weapons, which I'm not doing.
Those separate arms are a nightmare on those. God damn. The first lot I put together and then went back some time ago and put a load more together, and I realised the first lot were all completely wrong arms. So they're just hopeless. Never mind. They're pushing the old Red Skies. Red Skies? Yeah. Blood Red Skies.
Blood Red Skies.
Hard. So this is a new bundle they've released for Midway, which is bloody expensive, but I think you can buy individual bits of it as well. So
Playing game.
Playing game. Yeah, playing game.
I was really interested in the playing game when it first came out, but I just don't think it. I don't know. Dom, did you play it or not?
No, never played it, mate.
I know Ken played it and then sold it all, didn't he?
It was one of Ken's little projects that he bought into usual amounts and then sold within one game. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily reflect on how good or bad the game is. It just reflects on how Ken's patience is, probably.
I bought. I mentioned the other week. I bought a squadron of Messerschmitts and painted them up. My mate's actually got the first game and some Spitfires.
Yeah,
but we never actually got around to playing it. I don't know what it was. I think it was. I could mention the other week. I think it was just too close to X-Wing. We were still playing X-Wing at the time, and I don't think there was really any comparison between the two.
Yeah, there's quite a little following of it. Well, when my club used to meet, there was quite a little following of it, playing it. So I think it had prospects. I never played it myself, so I couldn't honestly say. They're continuing with the boaty game. So the Victory at Seas. There's a massive load of Italian ships come out, including some fictitious aircraft carriers, because I don't think the Italians ever had any aircraft carriers. Mind you, the German one was never built, but that's in production as well in this, so whatever. But interesting. I quite like this game. I think it's quite good. I like the windy one as well, but I also like this one.
Windy boat game.
Windy boat
Windy boat game.
And there you are, Steve. Some more Warlords of Eberron. Samurai riding lion dogs.
They're nice.
They are quite nice, aren't they?
They actually are really, really nice.
However, I know that Titan Forge ones.
Yes,
the Titan Forge are something special.
You complete and utter total git for introducing me to that page.
We hadn't talked about it for a few weeks. I thought I'd bring it up.
Bring that one back up.
No. They are.
Superb.
Them ones are nice. So they are. They look really nice actually.
They do look good. They'll be very good. And also, I was fascinated. Just before we came on, I saw this, which absolutely, I thought it was an April Fool's. So not only are they doing Blood Red Skies in the smaller scale, but they've also got this link up with Airfix. So 1/72nd scale Blood Red Skies. And I thought it was some kind of, I did think it was an April Fool's. I really did. So apparently you get, this box set, you get two Spitfires and two BF 109Es in 1/72nd with the rule set. I don't know why, but I suppose if you're into your model making, then fantastic. But that's
you'd need a bloody big table to play that on.
Wouldn't you? You'd need a bloody hall, wouldn't you? Jesus.
So which table are we using? We're using the car park.
Just use the entire car park. I think I mentioned this before. I remember being at Heston Wargaming Club years and years ago when I was about 15, 16 years old. So it was a hell of a long time ago. And we used to play First World War aircraft, and they literally had the entire hall floor. And there was, whatever, 1/700th, 1/300th aircraft, and we just used to play the entire game. So playing 1/72nd, you'd need much more than the entire hall to play it. Jesus. What else did I see? Oh, I just have to finish up with, Martin pointed this out to me earlier on, just before we came on live.
Yes.
I'll let you talk about this, Martin, but just our stream has been full of pictures of people's workspaces, which is absolutely fantastic, actually, to see how everyone does what they do, and it kind of corresponds with all the pictures we see of everybody's great work week after week. But this takes the biscuit.
This made my day, and so Rob's written after the live show talking about hobby spaces and all the photos of people's hobby zones. He had hobby envy after being confined to the kitchen table for 27 years of marriage, with requests to have the 4th bedroom, garden shed, or part of the garage all firmly turned down. He went out on Saturday for his boss's birthday drinks, and he seems to have ordered and paid for a 16 by 8 foot work shed with installation to replace the old unused garage at the back of the garden. So he's got 5 weeks before it's delivered. And he's got to knock down the old walls and then explain to the wife before the shed arrives with the installers. But he'll probably have to get a camp bed in there because it's probably where he's going to be sleeping. But I suggested potentially if there's any Plastic Crack podcast viewers, I nearly called them Plastic Crackers. I don't know. That's someone who wants to start. Who are nearby, can they go and help him knock it down? Maybe in your shirts as well. That'd be ace.
So here you go. So next time anybody complains about a drunken purchase, just remember, Rob, he bought an entire gaming room.
I know. I just bought 150 quid worth of Carthaginians, but no.
It's just quality.
That's some next level drunk purchasing. Going to say that Carl's got an interesting comment. Let's see if I can find it.
I can't find the right thing. No.
There we go. It's about the new Death Core of Krieg from GW. Having seen them and having watched Lee's unboxing, it's been a while since I've been tempted to buy Games Workshop figures, but I was very, very tempted because for me, the Death Corps are like the least Games Workshop faction. They're grim looking. They're proper grim looking. And those new the new plastics, they just look so nice.
I went into a Games Workshop this week to stock up on some paints, and they had them out on the table. So I was having a good look. They are nice. They are very, very nice.
I genuinely, I've never really got into Games Workshop stuff at all, but I looked at those models and I went, geez, they do look interesting, do they? They look kind of fun. I thought, what else could I use them for? But I hadn't came to my senses and bought a load of other stuff, so it's all good.
I was going to use, if I do end up purchasing some, I was going to use them for Zona Alpha. I think they'd fit in quite well with Zona Alpha. Probably quite a few Osprey skirmish games as well. I just think they've, compared to some of the releases that have been quite, flamboyant and a bit over the top, they've stuck to the ethos of the previous Death Corps. They haven't changed the uniforms. They haven't changed the look of them, the feel of them. It's, I don't know. Is this a new path for them? But I was so tempted. They look lovely. I think I'd love to paint them up as well. I really would.
I have a worrying feeling that I'm sort of moving from just gamer who paints just to get the figures on the game to actually, I think you guys are infecting me, because I was starting to look at models and thinking, oh, that looks great fun to paint. And I'm thinking, no, that's not what I want at all. I want to get boots on the table. That's what the channel says. That's what it's all about, getting the bloody boots on the table. Talking of which, it's about time we said hello to our friend and sponsor, Jim from reapergames.co.uk. I mentioned earlier, obviously the channel is sponsored by Jim. Get over to him. He's great. He's got loads and loads of plastic for you to buy. Masses of it, very, very reduced. And we'll do a code later on for everybody to get an additional 10% off. So get over there and check him out. Shaun, I wanted to ask you also, you kind of your other life beyond the gaming, running a company and all that kind of stuff is the painting side of things. And you mentioned before you're a commissioned painter and you've been doing that for a long, long time. How do you do that? I mean, obviously you paint, but is it? I guess do you go out your way to find new business? Does it come your way very easily? I guess what's the discipline like of a commissioned painter?
If you was to talk to my wife, she would tell you terrible. But because I spend a lot of my time on an evening and through to the early hours of the morning doing my hours of painting, I prefer to paint in unnatural light. I prefer to paint in the white light, as it's called. So I start painting on an evening, and sometimes I'm in here till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Wow.
And then I'll get up the next day about midday and start getting stuff done and stick things together if they need to be stuck and things like that, and then start again on the evening doing some painting. But I just love being out here sat in my little world and doing my little thing. And I think I learned a long time ago about it can be tedious. Like I was saying, when you're painting 48 figures that are going to look exactly the same when you finish them, you just have to have a methodology to that. And there has to be a production line to it as well. You've got to be quite committed. Now, I'm sitting looking at you guys now I'm using my wife's sort of iPad, but behind that there's a massive television screen, and I watch TV all the time, constantly while I paint. And I have learned that most TV will inform you when something good is going to happen. They raise their voices, or the music or sound starts to lift in the background, and you can glance up and get all the good stuff, and then you can look back down and carry on painting again. And after 35 years of sitting out here doing that, it's become quite a. I suppose what I do is because I saw Leon was mentioning recently, Leon T66, about commission painting.
Yes.
And I put a little message on there. And what I was trying to say to Leon is, first of all, you can't rate it on individual figures because that's not really what it's about. In the old days, they used to say that when you're going to paint any kind of figure, it was supposed to be a millimeter. You would be £1 a millimeter. So if you're painting a 54mm figure, you would charge £1 a millimeter to paint that 54mm figure. This is model making. When it comes to wargaming, wargamers can't afford £1 a millimeter. So you have to actually adapt what it is that they want, what it is that you do. It's like I said, a lot of people, I sold things on eBay as well as commission painting. There are people who don't think your work is going to be that good sometimes because you're not charging £15 a figure. So they feel that if it's going to be good in the wargame world, it's got to be a large amount of money to be any good. But it's not down to that. It's down to what you like as an individual, what kind of quality you like painting. And I say with the commission painters, it's how fast you can paint and how well you've adapted to getting the result you want as quickly as possible, which is why I'm quite weird in the hobby because, as you guys know, I spray figures a base colour to start with as the undercoat base colour. So if I'm doing British Napoleonics, I'll spray them Halford's brick red, as it's called. The reason I use Halford's is because I know that it's designed to go on metal, but it's perfect on plastic as well. Give it a good covering. It's all about the covering. You give it a good covering, you then start to work on that with maybe dry brush or other colours, and you've done 55%, 60% of what the main work would have been on painting your figure.
Yeah.
So, and I learned, I mean, I would say to Steve, I was doing American Airborne, and I was spraying them earth brown and then dry brushing up the green levels on the brown till it finally got to the airborne green that you were looking for. And that brown became your lining on the green that gave the uniform that kind of airborne look. And it was simple things like that I learned. But I had some good people to learn from. Some of the top painters around when I was a lot younger. I was picking up tips and hints all the time, and then I was adapting them to making them work for me. So I suppose that's why even when I was working, I was always, my wife used to have me out here all the time. I mean, I put a picture up recently in my cabinets. She comes out here sometimes, looks at the cabinets full of figures, and she says, "What are they all doing up there?" In other words, like, they should be sold by now, shouldn't they? And you should be. And I said, but that's my collection, darling. At least, like, let me have something. No, you could paint them in 3 months, so get them sold.
I have to just break and give out 2 yellow cards, and it's getting very close to red cards. GP, where's the red card? I've lost it now. No, yellow card. There you go. GP, no, I am not painting birds and badgers.
Shit, Dom, I've organised a game for you. A crack on. I'm being deadly serious. I'm actually being serious. Steve, if you're watching, he mentioned he's one of the players in our big black powder game, but he mentioned he's going to bring some burrows and badgers, so you need to bring yours with, because I'm going to bring mine.
Jesus. And then who else?
I've got access to that rules now as well. Tom, I've got them as well, guys. Burrows and badgers.
Don't.
Good man.
And then Shaco started this off. He says he needs to get me into Turnip 28. Just why? Just why? Why?
I'll tell you what, I've noticed recently on
just why?
On Instagram, Turnip 28 it's getting really, really popular. I saw one the other day, and someone had made it was a cannon, but it was a giant mushroom.
I don't get it. Just don't get it. Whatever. Anyway, so before I was so rudely interrupted with the madness that is all this stuff. So sure. So that was the bit that got me interested, because I saw that picture of your cabinet, Shaun, of all those, your own collection. So how do you balance your collection versus the job? And doesn't the fact you do it as a sort of a job take the fun out of doing it for yourself, so to speak?
I think it's just sitting painting. I enjoy sitting painting.
Right.
And so, and I love it when somebody contacts you and says, I like your work and I'd love to have you paint some figures for me. And so, yeah, it's just like a new experience again. You're painting for someone else and you send them off. I think you get a response when they come back to you and they know if they want you to paint some more, it's fantastic. But I've been fortunate as well, haven't I? I mean, 20 years ago, I used to look in Dave Thomas's cabinet at the shows, and it was all my old mate Jim Bowen's figures on the shelves, and Jim who painted for the Perrys. And I used to be so envious and think like, oh, if only one day. And then one day I turned up with some Macedonians to the show at Salute for someone. And Dave said, I really like them. Why don't you put them in there? And I was jumping around. I was all over the place. And he was like, have you sold them? I said, no, it's just I've got them in the cabinet. It just, and now his cabinet is full of my stuff. So,
Brilliant.
But no,
Brilliant.
I just love painting figures. I love watching all the stuff that goes on. And like I say, you guys, I watch some of your videos 3 and 4 times over. I love watching Martin's battle reports. I don't know. However, when he plays his battles, I don't know why people just let him do the rules. Because every time I watch, he goes through it so fast, doesn't he? He goes right. So that's 25 men firing, and it's 3, and then it's 2, and you need as many 4s.
Yeah, but Sean, the truth is, he makes it all up, doesn't he, Martin? Doesn't he,
Sometimes.
Martin? Yeah.
Sometimes, you know.
The last one, Martin, when you was playing, Ken was just going, yeah, you've lost 4 casualties now, Ken, get them off. Yeah.
It's what you don't see is what I've edited out in that one is where Ken challenged me every single bloody time. So I'll be filming like that, and then I'll be doing the bit, and I'll say like, okay, so you got 2 guys shooting, you're 6 inches away, so that's +1, but you're disordered, that's -1, and you're shooting at skirmishes, which is another -1, so you need 4s to hit. So I'm waiting for him to roll the dice, and then I look up, and the hamster's going.
He's working out.
And then he goes on that. He goes, yeah, but they've got some kind of special rule that gives them like +1. No, they don't. Yeah. Someone said that on the stream. No, it didn't. We had this whole 25-minute long debate about whether light infantry got like a +1 to attack, and I was like, why would light infantry get bonuses in combat? I couldn't even work that one out. I was like, why are skirmishers getting these bonuses? So all of that stuff gets edited out. That battle report, that last one, I mean, I had a feeling it was going to be long, but I was like 2 hours, but so I put it out as 1. There was 6 hours of footage that I had to edit down. And a good portion of the 4 hours that I got rid of was just sort of like waffling, or us just going off on tangents and stuff that I could never put on the internet.
No, you definitely can't put some of that on.
Or we'd be talking about Steve or something. Sorry, Steve was looking. You did get a mention at the start of the game, Steve. Actually,
you did.
I haven't got around to watching it. I'm behind on my subscription.
It's, it was just when Ken reminded me about my Christmas present because I'd given him his. That's when he reminded me, so it was on camera.
Yours is still on my my.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. But no, it's the problem. The problem is, I find with. If you're going to be, I don't know. I just like to explain why something is happening but I still get, because you get a lot of comments that say like, why have you done that? And I did a couple of things where I didn't bother saying what the modifiers were, and then I got loads of things saying, can you go back to doing that, please? Because we like it.
Oh no, I like it. I like it I like it as well when you get the right result as well. I love watching especially with you as well, Don, when your battle reports. You can always tell when you guys think you're doing well.
Yes, we're very excited, don't we? We get really excited.
You get excited about it. And Martin, you and Don both go, oh, you didn't do well there. Oh, pity. And he's like, oh, yeah. You're being really nice.
I couldn't contain myself in the last one. I mean, Battlemat told me that apparently there's some new GW rule where you're not allowed to laugh at people's dice rolls or something. I don't know, but I couldn't help it because Ken had geared up all his attacks. He charged in, he rolled 8 dice, and not a single one got higher than a 3, and he missed every single one. I was keeping the camera steady, but I had to put my hand on the wall to steady myself because I was laughing so much.
You know, the worst thing about doing battle reports, Martin, do you agree? When you come to edit them back and you look at you go, what a dick you were there. what a, you know, because you're winding people up, or you're just sort of, you know, just like you're saying, laughing at their misfortune that you get.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
funny at the time,
What I love seeing is how you're watching it and you're like, oh, I've got this plan, and I definitely thought this was going to work. And then, you know, especially in this battle report, like you could see Ken going, I'm going to send all these assault columns up that hill, and that's because that's what the French did, and that's how, you know, it doesn't work like that. And then you can see his plan unfolding in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
This is why I zoomed in, because you can see like, oh, I'm going to fire a rocket, and you can zoom in on his face when he did it. But I'm sorry, Ken, I know you're not here, so watch this.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. I find the battle reports, I've heard it said before, I find those the easiest things to edit. I really do. They take some time because there's a lot.
It's
of
time more than anything.
It's the easiest. Although what's the pain in the ass like this one is when you realise you press the wrong button and you miss some footage. And you got to like try and like, oh no,
that's so frustrating. No, I agree with you. I think the battle reports are really. But I just let mine run and it's just playing what. But even then, I edit down a hell of a lot of it because it would be ridiculously long. But you're right; they're easy to edit. The other videos are much harder.
I think as well, if I played you both at anything, I think I would have an advantage as well, because I've watched that many of your battle reports. I think I know your tactics inside out, whichever period it is that you play.
There's no subtlety where I'm involved, Shaun. It's just all out attack generally for me. That's all I do.
Yeah, I was watching yours today with the Stanleys. No, you went for the Stanleys because they never got involved, but every time you play them, they get involved.
Do you know, yes. I realised that was a major design flaw, but then it's hashtag I blame Martin for that one, because I went for the Stanleys because I needed something to take him on with, and it was like, well, and Ken, so it was like, but yeah, it's completely the most inappropriate Lord for
I've got to be a bit honest when it comes to that as well, because we were messaging quite a lot backwards and forwards, weren't we, about you know what lords you could possibly use and all of that. But of course, at the same time, I've had quite a lot of messages from other people, so I've been trying to engineer it so I can have everyone as different people playing what I want them to be. But you should do Stanley, because I know no one's done Stanley. So when I get
he's got a little checklist on the wall, hasn't he? I bet, is it one of Haley's spreadsheets where you've got I've got Dom to do that, I've got Ken to do that, I've got
it's up here. It's up here. But no, there is quite a lot. I'm sorry, I'm just going to answer. Carl's just said more test of honor. We were actually going to play a game on Sunday night, but my little girl wasn't very well. I couldn't, but it's next on the list. Sort of samurai stuff.
So this actually goes back to what we were just saying. Carl says he did commissioning for a while, but wouldn't do it again because it put too much pressure on his painting mojo, and he never painted his own stuff. It's always a bit I mean, not that I would do it, but what about you, Steve? Would you ever commission paint?
I've been asked a number of times, especially bolt action stuff. I won't do it. It's my hobby. At the end of the day, this is what I do after work to de-stress and have a nice time. And to be up against deadlines. And for me, it'd be handing them over at the end. I'd be like, piss off, these are mine.
That's the bit I couldn't do.
I just spent 6 days painting these. You can do one. But no, I felt quite bad because during lockdown, I remember that kit Basher did of Major Koenig from Stalingrad.
Beautiful figure.
Somebody contacted me and just said, look, when lockdown's all over and everyone's back to normal, can you kit bash me one and paint it for me? And I was like, I don't know, because it's hard to explain. It's the completing it and giving it to someone. I'm like, that's a part of that's my creativity right there. I've made that. I want to keep that. That's why I don't sell figures. I don't sell figures. I don't move things on that I've not painted or I've painted. For me, it will always be a hobby. And I think to introduce some form of schedule or deadline to it, I think it would take the enjoyment out of it for me. I mean, maybe that's just me, but I've been asked, but I always make my excuses and politely say no.
I've got a couple right now, but I've done it on the agreement that there's no timescale. And that makes me I've got these 95th rifles for Liam, so hello mate if you're watching this. So I've got halfway through those, but I've also got some a guy who's sending me some Screeborn miniatures dwarves, so I'm going to be doing up some of those, but those are single miniatures. You know, I'm going to be painting 3, I think, but he wants them for role-playing games, so he wants them like not regiment, you know, it's not going to be like 3, you know, in a regiment army painter and then done kind of thing. So I don't know. I've done a few, but I don't want it to become my job. I'm sort of doing this playing around with rules and that. I'm kind of enjoying doing that more. I'd rather spend any additional hobby time mucking around doing that.
Yeah, it's funny. At times I thought, well, because I do paint quickly, would I be quite happy to do it? But I think a combination of Steve's is I don't like giving away the figures once I've painted them, so that would be a problem. Plus I don't know. It's as I always said, it's for me. It's getting those boots on the table, so I don't really care. You know, it's not something I would do as a business exactly.
Well, I don't want to get beaten by my own models either. Models I painted.
Well, that is the worst, isn't it? When you lend somebody your figures on the table and they're the ones that bloody win it. That's so frustrating.
Frustrating. For me, an example is this weekend. I mean, I could have spent all weekend painting up my British in Burma, but I spent most of yesterday with my fat ass on the sofa playing golf. Now,
I can't believe that.
if I had 100 figures on the desk to paint that I needed to paint for a certain deadline, I'd be like, well, no, this is my time. So I think I'm just a very, very selfish person. But it's at the end of the day, it's my time, it's my weekend, it's my free time away from work. So no.
So Shaun, do you have a sort of a standard of painting that you do for yourself? Do you have a standard painting that's commission work? Or is it just it's the same standard all the time? Because you do hear people who do, I can have a tabletop standard, or I can have tabletop plus, or
I've never bothered with anything like that. I look at it and I think that would be good enough for me. So hopefully it's the best I can do if it was good enough for me. You can always, we're all painters. We could always put them down, pick them up again a week later and put some more on, put them down, pick them up. We always add and change and swap. But what I try and do is aim for the standard that I've always tried to achieve, what I would want for myself. And if it was good enough for me, then hopefully it's good enough for whoever it is. When it comes to timescales, I have to admit that when I did a painting service, as it was called back in the day, and you used to have to set deadlines. What I make sure with my customers now is that please don't pressure me for deadlines, because I'll do it as quickly as I can do it for you. But, I'm doing it because I can't work anymore. I'm through ill health. So there are going to be days when I can't do anything. So especially like at the moment, like I told you guys before we came on, I get a parcel through from Ken and then we all go down with the dreaded lurg.
So Shaun, is there any figures that you don't like painting? Because I know if next week I set up Steve's amazing commission painting service, I guarantee the first thing that arrive on my desk
what you don't
will be some Napoleonic French,
and they would be for me.
And they'd be for Martin.
I stopped painting different size figures a long time back. I only want to paint 28mm now, and that's what I actually put myself out as a amateur. I don't advertise anywhere. I was fortunate enough because I was in the hobby before, and I was connected to some of the people who were around a lot. I got a lot of long-term commissions, so I was fortunate. I used to get box loads of figures from people that I've been painting. Some people I've been painting for 10 and 15 years. They'll just wait till the order comes out and they're happy like that. But I have to say, Martin, I put together my test of honor figures that my son
yes
for Christmas mistake.
Can you please tell that story?
The story.
That was amazing.
What happened was no one ever used to buy me anything in the family. So I've been doing this hobby since I was a kid, but no one ever bought. If I got books, it was because I asked for specific books and they would buy me them. And then this Christmas, my son, who was a teacher, said to me, Dad, I think it was last Christmas, gone. Dad, I want to buy you something that you want from your hobby that you want for yourself. So I hope he's not watching. So, so he said, if there was anything you'd really want to paint for yourself, for a collection for yourself, what would it be? Anything. If it's out there, and I can put my hands on it and get it. So I said Sumerians. And he said, what? I said, there was a range of Sumerians that Foundry did, and they're still out there now. You can get them. And I really would love Sumerians because I've done everything else, son, even up to fantasy, as he knows, because I did it for him. But I've never had any of those. I've got biblical, I've got, Trojan Wars, but Sumerians. So on Christmas Day, I opened up a load of lovely Perry Samurai and the Warlord Games box set of the Samurai Army. And my wife, she bought me a load of terrain pieces to go with them. So I've got some 3D printed buildings as well. So obviously I had to buy Test of Honor, thanks to Martin. But I have to say, having put together the figures for Test of Honor, I think I'd rather have the Sumerians.
I think you're right. They're not good. Because those plastic figures, they are not nice.
Those little skeleton. Steve, when you said, "Is there anything you wouldn't paint?"
Yeah.
Well, there's one right there, man.
Steve, you might want to give
nice.
You might want to give Shaco a red card here. He said he'd pay to make Steve paint a battalion of French, provided he made it into a video.
I guarantee the video will be 30 seconds. The video will be 30 seconds long, and it'll be me kicking the box around in the hallway before stamping on it in a violent manner.
It'll be like Office Space. You just get there. He's getting.
Oh, just brilliant. And Carla's the same. She does commission painting. I suffer from serious miniature envy. I get these cool minis to paint, and then I have to send them back. That's the bit I would find really, really hard to do. Really hard to do. Brilliant. It's about time we put the code up, I suppose.
God, Avatar, I can't believe
it is fast disappearing. So, reminder, unless you lived under a rock or something, that obviously we are sponsored by Jim at Reaper Games. Does brilliant service. If you need any basically plastic crack, he does the Perry stuff, the Warlord stuff, Mantic stuff. I think he's even starting to get some Victrix stuff.
Yeah, Victrix now, but at a slot, it's
not quite the same discount.
Including the code, it's 20%, whereas everything else is 30%.
So if you're buying Warlord stuff or Perry stuff or Mantic stuff, it's 20%. Plus, if you use this code, you get an additional 10% off. The Victrix is just a flat 20%. And I think you can also get some of the Warlord metal stuff as well, but not at that rate. I think there's a separate discount for that. So anyway, give Jim a call or send him an email. Really, really helpful. And he'll come back with what he can get and how much it'll cost. And then it does take a little bit of time because he has to order most of the stuff in, but it will come and you don't have to pay for it until it's on its way to him. So
another good thing that Jim does is if you are a kit basher like myself, you can break up, you can sell individual sprues for Warlord.
That's true. Yeah,
which is very, very handy if you just need a few choice items for your projects rather than buying a whole box. Get a couple of sprues, save yourself some money.
So you kit bashing idiots out there who love doing it so much, you can pick up sprues of whatever you want. Steve put not Russian, he put German grey coats into anything, I think. So it's probably
I was asked at the weekend whether I could use winter German grey coats to make British winter troops. I think speaking of kit bashing, on Friday tonight I'm painting this kit bash mortar crew. But this is my HQ unit for these British in Burma. It took me an hour and a half to build 2 figures on Friday after work because I just couldn't get the combination of arms and bodies that I wanted. And my desk was covered in, there was just plastic everywhere. And I was just getting really, really annoyed because I could not get that combination that I wanted. But I finally got it, but it's a blessing and a curse. It really is.
Unbelievable. I guess Worsty forgot to say it's the French Imperial Guard band.
Oh yeah, that. Have you seen that set, Steve? It is 24 drummers and pipers or something like that, isn't it?
I would rather be disemboweled live on my own YouTube channel.
There we go. That's the first one for a while. Oh, the wrong thing again. Oh, blimey. Brilliant. Okay, shall we have a look at some people's pictures?
Hang on. Should we just mention CrackCon?
Oh, yeah, probably should, actually. There were a few questions in the comments on that. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, it's sold out.
It has sold out.
That's it.
I know, it's amazing.
There are no more tickets available, so we've got to do it now. So it's sold out. So thank you to everybody who's bought a ticket. And what will be happening this week, there will be a survey going around. So check your inboxes and your spam. That will come from either me or the Plastic Crack Podcast email. And that's some simple questions, but the most important one is dietary or allergy stuff. So we don't want to poison anybody except Ken. And so I can get that information off to the venue for the food. And there will also later in the week, once we've approved the draft, there will be an information leaflet coming out with phone numbers, how to get there, all that kind of stuff. I will also be putting up a post on the announcement on the Facebook page with the games that are sort of being played and the tables and how many tables are left. I know there's a couple of games that people have already organized in there, so great, but if we can confirm it, and also the remaining places in the big Black Powder game. Now remember, if you haven't got Black Powder models, you're more than welcome to still join in. We can provide you with some Black Powder models. I heard that Ken is going to supply all of them, and you can
apparently so. Yeah, they're all Italians and they don't fight, so it's all fine.
That's amazing, wasn't it? I painted up that Italian general for him, but he didn't even get over the wall. Well, he did get over the wall, but he just went back over it again. Your comment, ice cream maker, that made my day. I was in stitches about it. But yeah, so that'll be up on there. There will probably be some rotating tables during the day as well. So if there is a game you want to play, but it looks like all the tables are booked, still bring it along. And if we've got time, we will. I think a lot of the games as well that have been played, such as the Middle Earth game, which Stuart and Dan are putting on, and I know I think Miller as well, and Dom, who's going to bring
Sharp Practice, yeah.
You'll be able to just come along and join in.
So yeah, just join in. I'll probably set up some sort of scenario, have a go at it. Once you're annoyed with me winning everything, you can run off. It's fine.
Exactly. So yeah, and
I'm not going to play.
You can only keep this amount of time. So yeah, and if you've got any questions, if you're not in the Facebook group because you don't do Facebook, I know there are a few people. You can contact us through the Plastic Crack email down below, and we'll get back to you. If you want to organise games that way, we can also put you in touch with other people who are either looking for opponents or want to play. We've had a couple of people just say they're up for playing whatever. So wicked, we can set some things up. It's going to be a good day. Of course, we have still got the painting competition as well. I saw some people asking about that. So remember, the painting competition, there is a prize. I don't know if we're going to tell you what it is, but there is a prize. And the theme is it's got to be World War II, no bigger than a 50mm base, some kind of diorama, vignette, can be whatever you want, but must include cork. And if it comes down to a tie, there might have to be some kind of cork to base ratio that Steve will decide. Steve's going to do the tie break.
Key is
It's
the man of cork. So
it can be any manufacturer. It can be whatever you like. It can be as silly or as serious as you like. And we're going to pick the prize not just on painting ability, but on originality, whether it's made us laugh. If someone can do a monk being escorted away by some German soldiers, and it happens to look like Ken, even better. So,
not that we're steering you in that direction at all.
No. Everyone's going to come along with monks. So come along. We will judge it on the day, and there's going to be a few surprises for the day as well. It's on the 16th of October, and it starts at 10 a.m.
10
Balls and Swords. Hobbies, and runs through to about 4:30 or 5 o'clock because we've got to pack up. But we've just got one thing to please ask everyone who is attending. When you go to a party, generally it's good etiquette to bring a bottle. We're not asking you to do that. Please bring a piece of scenery. Bring a building, bring some trees, bring a bush, just something. Write your name on the bottom of it. And that's purely because we're going to have a lot of tables. From what I understand, and speaking with Vinny, most of their terrain is geared to fantasy and sci-fi, which of course isn't a problem if you want to play those games. But we don't want to be fighting over scenery. It doesn't have to bring loads, but we thought if just people could just bring, if you could, 3 trees with them on a base, or just a building, a house or something, then we'll have enough. Just write your name on it and it won't go astray. As Miller has said up here, Miller hopes that people are going to join in the pike and shot because his star fort is going to be there. So I think he's designing a scenario, which I believe your opponent is Matt, but I think there's going to be some pick up and play there. Probably, do you want to take command of the forlorn hope that we've got to go in first? And yes, SJM66, there will be an after party. In the
Why not?
Pub.
Of course, there'll probably be a pre, during, and after party.
Yeah, and if we can't get into the pub, I'm sure there is a bench nearby that we will be able to gather.
You can watch Ken drinking Alco Pop till he falls over. Be very good.
I will put that on the tickets. Yes, Paul. That can go.
Bring out your bush.
So yes, we're looking forward to it. Thank you to everybody who's bought a ticket, and please forgive us if we panic over the next few weeks.
Forgive us, yeah. So there's various games, but to Martin's point, if you've got anything you want to do particularly, then stick it up in the Facebook page or send us an email if you're not there, and we'll try and incorporate that somehow into the schedule. So I think our biggest limitation is table space, really, isn't it? That's it.
I think it is. But if we don't have as many people that want to take up the big black powder game, then we'll just reduce the size of the big black powder game. And
exactly. All right, we're coming towards the end, so let's do some of the painting that people have been doing the last week or so, because as ever, there's been some amazing stuff gone up. So this is Andy's. Look at that tartan. There's a hell of a lot of tartan there.
I mean, it's amazing, but it's a lot of tartan. It looks absolutely stunning.
Brilliant. Anthony's carrying through doing every element of the Brunswick core at the moment, and I think that's almost the end now. He's done his artillery to go with that, so really nice work. Ben's doing what I've got to do next, which is Russian artillery. I think I've got those models exactly ready, primed, ready to go. I think they're the Warlord ones. Eek. I have no idea what that is, Bjorn. But it looks
I'll tell you what as well. It's like a mouse paladin kind of character, right? But the funny thing is that the stats in this game are kind of related to the size of the model. So a mouse will have a strength of, say, D4, whereas a badger has a strength of D12, right? But in the games that we've played, my mate's mouse knight is a killing machine. It's ridiculous. It's like Yoda. It just goes around and just takes everything apart, and they cannot kill the little bastard.
Brilliant. You stamp on them, don't you? Oh, well, whatever. That's Danny's 20mm Russian.
Oh, nice.
And apparently there's cork underneath that, Steve. You'll be very pleased to know.
Top stuff.
Got very excited. Gary has been busy. Look at this. There we go. That's a nice collection.
Crikey.
Very cool.
That's a really nice collection. In fact, I think he said that's everything he's painted so far. So that is
I
quite
know
a
that
collection.
lovely big bases as well. I like it.
Big bases. Brilliant. Jim, I can't even remember what these were, but they're very colourful. I mean, that's just very colourful.
Yeah. So it's French, aren't they? I think they're coming to CrackCon as well. So
are they indeed? Brilliant.
Yeah, they are very cool.
Bloody hell. And Joshua's Ronin. I mean, wow. Really, really nice. I must get back to doing my samurai figures. Must do it. And then he did those as well. Jeez. Joshua, you're a superb painter. Really, really good. Love it. Lee, put these for. I don't know what these are, but they do look good.
Very nice.
LA Warhammer?
I don't know.
Some form for him?
They
are.
are.
Are they from Shadespire or something?
That looks like
that
looks like a blue horror thing on the right.
Oh, they're the Zench ones. Are those like some dancing? Yes, I know what they are. They're very cool. I like those. I like a bit of chaos.
Talked about Leon earlier, some of his Austrians. Leon T66.
Nice.
He did a video. I saw a video today of his. I don't know when it went up, but
I saw that video. Did he say in that video that he got some flack because he does wavy flags? I couldn't believe it.
I know. I couldn't believe that.
I couldn't believe it. I put this. I was like, unless they're standing in like gale force and a hurricane, that flag is going to be moving.
Some people.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe
it. Wavy, but
somebody criticised him apparently for doing wavy
because
flag.
because he spent. They're saying, why would you spend say £3 or £4 on a flag or for a set of flags and then scrunch it up?
Because the flag unless you're standing on the bloody moon, flag
that one moved. That one moved.
It did move, actually, didn't it? Because that's what the old conspiracy theorists all say.
They're
bloody weird people.
Lovely.
No words at all. Well, I do, but I can't repeat them.
These are some British things for British to kill. Sorry, from Mark. Some voltigeurs, which look very, very good indeed. Very good. And another Mark did these horse holders.
Cool. There's a lot of horse holders coming around.
A lot of horse holders. Yeah, that's really cool. You need a bit of colour on your table, don't you?
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Yes.
This is Norfolk.
That is Norfolk. That is the Duke of Norfolk.
Does look nice.
Nice.
Man, just in time.
It's got a nice billowing flag there as well.
Exactly. We like billowing flags on the planet.
It's a gentle ripple, I think you'll see, Steve. Paul.
There we go, Steve.
There's your figure, Steve. There's your one.
Do you know what? I would rather jam a fork repeatedly into my temple while being serenaded by Morrissey and paint something like that.
I'm going to just go share. Hey, Beckus. Hello, mate. How you doing?
Hello, Beckus.
I think he sums it up. I think he sums that up pretty well. I agree.
Yes.
It'll be classed as a flag hate crime. It's true. Too bloody right. So that was Paul's stuff. Really, really nice. Phil has been busy getting some air support for his British. It's Typhoon, isn't it? I think it is.
I think so. Cracking camouflage scheme on that though, mate. That is absolutely fantastic.
Really, really nice.
That's for bolt action, you say?
Yeah, it's 1/72 scale.
Yeah, I think people use them as airstrike markers.
No, I just didn't know if he had an amazing macro. That was
no. Stephen is busy with.
Love those. I really like those. I really like a couple. They're the Stormcast Eternals. And what I love about seeing all these are all the different color schemes that people come up with. Because the one that they've done in the, I know that GW have got their color schemes they like to use, but I think that's great. I like seeing lots of. If you're going to go fantasy, then lots of color.
Agreed. And the yellow looks really cool in the figure. I think, especially a fantasy figure, really good. Tony. I mean, we were all laughing at, not laughing, but just admiring that character. He put up a whole load of pictures of his.
What was it? Someone from
Falstaff.
Vita's own pet. Yeah.
That is wicked. Wavy flag,
Wavy flag.
Wavy flag alert. Oh my god. So where's that head come from? Because I want that in my warband.
It's a land
That's a Landstick head, yeah.
Is it? Damn, I'm going to have to go and get Jim to send me a sprue of Landsticks.
It's the perfect armor, like he did the perfect choice as well. He does look like a proper angry veteran.
Do you know, I'm going to show up my complete ignorance in all things medieval, but I thought I knew a little bit about armor and stuff, and I always imagined that what he's wearing there was leather. And I was watching some video channel where they were talking about them, and they're not. They're metal, aren't they? They're metal
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got little metal plate. Yeah, like sewn in.
Yeah, what are they called? Bastinets or something. Brigandines. That's it. Yeah, and I had no idea. I always thought they were just pure leather. Shows what I know. There you go.
That's it. Yeah, sorry. Friends of General Hager's just hit it. He looks like Lancelot at the end of Excalibur. He does. He does. I'm gonna have to find. Oh, I'll find it for next week. But yes, he does. But
put side by side. We could have a sort of see how many other people we can see. He looks like.
Well, we'll talk about next week's theme later. But yeah, we could do it next week.
I think I had a maths teacher who looked like him. It was definitely a bit dodgy.
Like Falstaff.
Looks like who?
Falstaff.
That's true as well. Oh, you're bringing some class to this stream, Shaun. Very good. Bit of Shakespeare. Very nice. This was Warren's.
Nice. Is any made up for Zona Alpha?
Yeah, Zona Alpha.
Yeah. Really, really good.
I like the mask.
Very, very cool. They're a bit like those whatever Death's Head Krieg things you were talking about. Same thing. They've got those gas masks, haven't they?
Yeah.
Although I saw somebody bitching about them as well, saying the gas masks were not very. I can't remember. People get bitchy about everything. And my weekly drool over what Ken's doing in the. Just gorgeous Italian Wars stuff.
That's
unbelievable.
I don't know if you just heard that loud bang noise that came through. That was my wife hitting the window to scare the shit out of me.
Unbelievable. So I think that was everything we've got. I've put the wrong bloody cover on. Look. Oh, Jesus. No. So that was all the good work that people have been, well, not all of it, but that was some of the good work that people have been sharing. So thank you so much. It's been brilliant to see all the great work that people do. Just really, really good. You've really got everyone going on the flag thing now. Just the whole chat just lit up with flags.
Why would somebody feel the need to point that out?
I just don't know. I can't.
Have you ever noticed though? Have you ever noticed that if you actually go out and look at flags when people are carrying them, they're usually just draped down. There's not enough wind to move them. But no one ever does a war game with them all just draped down.
No, I've got.
That's true, actually.
Started. We've got that. I'm trying to just do them hanging.
That's far too crinkled up. That's just, you're not allowed to do that. Not allowed to do that. And Louis Baby actually picks up perfectly. He says that plane doesn't look right without a good fingerprint on the pilot's canopy. Yeah, mine all did. They were absolutely covered in fingerprints. He's dead right. Up to the point where I set fire for them and threw them off the roof. So we're almost at the end. So, and that's Leon says that's why he rarely ever posts on Faceplant anymore. Yeah, I mean, there's some idiots out there, absolute idiots. I don't understand it. So, what are we going to be? Oh, just another plug. I'm wearing this shirt because I'm going there on the weekend. I know you are as well.
No, but we're not going on the same day.
We're not going on the same day. So the Barnet Medieval Festival
or something the next day.
I've got to go to the flower show the next day. I mean, geez.
See, I thought we could kind of organise it so that your other half could go to the wedding with Hayley and Hayley could go to the flower show.
I was up for that. I was up for that.
And we could have done too. Yeah, Barnet Medieval Festival.
I got one of those looks from my wife when I even suggested that in a joke. So I think yes, it is the Barnet Medieval Festival happening in Barnet, just north of London. It looks really, really cool. They got a refight of the Battle of Barnet going on. So if you're in that area, pop down. And if you're there on Saturday, you might see me. And if you're there on Sunday, you might see him. No, him.
And I'll be holding up like my figures with the heraldry next to the people who are playing them and swearing the wrong way around. Or something.
Oh dear.
Dom, can you yellow card this reprobate for me?
Oh, we've got them all going now. Jesus. Never mind. Anyway, thank you so much indeed for everybody for joining. Thank you, Shaun, very much for joining us tonight. It's been great to catch up with you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
And thank you for the various packages you've been sending to us all. And
yes, you've extended my English Civil War project by weeks.
I've still got to do those metal. I'm going to do some Yorkist longbowmen. I'm going to have to do them in honour of the ones you sent over to me because they have to be Yorkist.
Well, you're okay. I've got to do a load of ships for the boat game.
Yes.
Which boat game?
The windy one or the power boat?
No, they're the steamboat game.
I thought that was poker.
Do you want to let you know what next week's theme's going to be?
Yeah, who's looking after? Who's doing it next week?
It's me. It's
you again. Good.
It's me, which will be the day after Barnet. But we're always talking about films, so I thought we would actually do one and talk about films, and not just films, but historical films. But what I'd like people to do, and what I want people on the stream to do, is basically got three things: is a historical film or TV series that you are either inspired by or you really like. Because we always look at these things and people say, like, Falstaff or
Holy Grail,
whatever. Yeah, Holy Grail. One that you love. One that you and obviously this is very subjective. So
Zulu Dawn.
Very subjective. So we take one that
Eric
you
the
can
Viking.
stand. We're taking Fury off the table. We're taking Fury off the table.
Right?
Because we know. So one that you love, one that you can't stand, and one that you love for being historically accurate, or like something you think is really good. But then I want a guilty pleasure. I want a historical film that is your guilty pleasure because I know we've all got them. So if you're in the group, post them. I'll set up the stream for next week and put them in the comments for the stream's post. But remember, it's all good fun until someone says that they like Fury, and then it probably goes. then
it'll go south very, very rapidly.
Then you'll see me flailing around like some kind of mad thing.
That's it. So we're gonna look at some films. So.
We've got an early entry.
Small soldiers.
Yeah, that'll do. Why not?
What about that, Steve? Small soldiers. Can you imagine kit bashing some of them, Steve?
I was actually painting some of those last year, and I got really bored. I don't know what it was. I was just painting green, and then more. It was like 50 Shades of Green.
50 Shades of Green. Right then, we've yakkered on long enough. We're well over our 2 hours. Thank you. Fury was so put. Now, hang on.
I think that's a way to end it.
That is the way to end it.
That's from
there
Steve.
We go. Thank you very much,
Steve.
Folks. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and we will see you next week on Martin's Challenge. See you later.
See you, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Cheers.